You're listening to the Show We Go Baseball podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 51 of To The Show We Go. We have Ed Hand and myself, Andrew Parker. Today's episode, we are back to the player side of things. And I should have asked you before we started, but I'm going to say it's Drew Ehrhard.
Yep, that is the correct way to say it.
It is the Drew Ehrhard episode. And if you don't know much about him, he you have a pretty interesting story that we're going to get into in a little bit, but you made it all the way up to Greenville this past year. You were an undrafted free agent signing, and you're brand new to the Red Sox system. So I feel like this is a good opportunity to kind of get, your name out there and your background out there as well for fans that aren't as familiar with you. But I guess before we dive into some baseball things, off season's almost over, but what have you been up to this off season?
Spending a lot of time with family. It's been a wild couple of months being away from home between summer and getting picked up, being away from home down in Fort Myers and then in Greenville. Being home, being with my parents, younger brother back in town from Oklahoma State. Just really getting to spend time with family. It's a lot. It's really important to me. I'm getting to see all of them, so I'm trying to soak that in as much as I can, especially looking down the line, seeing how long some of these professional seasons can be, taking in every minute of it to carry me through a long season.
Yeah, so
And
you've got one of the more I'll just come out and say it. I haven't heard a backstory quite like yours. You were an undrafted free agent. You're 24, right? So it's a little old to get your first
25
contract.
on Tuesday.
25. Happy birthday, dude.
Thank you.
So a little old for that. And also, the Red Sox had previously drafted your little brother, not your older brother, your little brother.
Yep.
Can you tell me how the Red Sox got in touch with you, how you went from being in graduate school to professional baseball player?
I mean, if I told the whole story, we could possibly be here all night, but had the 6 years because of the whole COVID thing. Tom Kochman, one of the managers for FCL, is a big University of Tampa guy, always around. Started a relationship with him. He's an incredible man. He's done a lot for me on and off the field. He's always been a fan. He's always tried to pull for me as much as he could. And then he was interested in my brother as well out of high school, so they ended up drafting him. It was a tough couple of days trying to figure out what his next move was going to be, whether to sign or go to school, and he elected to go to school, Oklahoma State, doing really well going into his third year. But still, when you see that name pop up on the board, like it's really special. We were all so incredibly proud of him and everything. And then down the line, it came up. It was my turn, and now he's really hoping to get picked up again by the Red Sox this coming draft. He would be really excited about that.
Now, is that so? You're like pretty Tampa through and through. You were born and raised there. You went to the University of Tampa. That spring training site in Fort Myers has to be pretty close to where you went to college and everything like that. So, what was your background before getting signed by the Red Sox? Like, did you ever go to the site as a fan and go like growing up, or like, I guess what was the background between you and the Red Sox?
Yeah, it's only about 2 hours, 15 minutes south of Tampa, so not too bad of a car ride. Actually, I've gone to JetBlue multiple times, but I always went as a player for like the perfect game tournaments that get played there. And it's almost embarrassing to say the first day I went to the complex, I drove in, and instead of turning right to the players parking lot, I turned left and go to the grass lots where all the high school players used to park and go to those fields. And I parked there, and I'm texting my point of contact, telling him I'm here. I'm not really sure where to go. And he's telling me, are you in the grass lot or are you in the actual like gated parking lot? I'm like, oh, I'm over here on the grass lot where I always park. And he's like, no, man, you're a player now. You come over to where the actual players park and everything. So it was a funny and it was a pretty cool moment. I'm like, wow, it's kind of like making that transition from being that high school and professional kid now get to go park in that cool parking lot I would always see that says restricted for players. So it was a pretty cool moment.
Yeah. So have you really do come from a baseball family. Your dad played a couple of years in the Yankee system. What was that moment for you? Because obviously it didn't happen in the draft, but you got signed. You made it to Greenville. That's higher than some guys get. What was that feeling for you? And can you take me through the moment when you signed that contract?
Oh, it was it's a feeling that it's even hard to put into words. I mean, just the long hours I would put in. My dad, like you said, talking about my dad. My dad is a big reason I went to University of Tampa. Yeah, I played baseball, and his a couple of years before I went to Tampa was inducted into the UT Hall of Fame there. So seeing all that, knowing that Tampa's my home, I grew up going to those games was just incredible. So I knew I wanted to go there. Went there, was blessed to play not only 4 years but 6 years there. Um, and I mean, there were times where it's just I knew it couldn't happen. It was the dream, play professional baseball, and there were days where I thought there's no chance it doesn't happen for me, and there's days where I'm thinking, man, it just might not happen for me. So we kind of go through this sixth year. I knew it was the last one. They finally stopped giving me eligibility, and the draft in the summer kind of comes and goes, and I didn't really hear much. And then I get that call. Like I had kind of turned the page. I was looking more towards coaching. Draft came and went, and I kind of was settled with it. I just kind of came to that realization that it's time to turn the page. I had kept myself in shape all summer, and just I was like, all right, this was the end. And then I get that magical phone call saying, hey, we've got a spot for you. We'd love for you to come. And then signing that contract is just so unbelievable. Signing that contract and then seeing that jersey hanging up in the locker is just things I'll take with me for the rest of my life. It's so unbelievable.
Now, while we're still on the college topic of you in college, I have to ask because so I saw you got your bachelor's degree in exercise science and sports studies. So that makes sense. Now, I want to know about your master's degree in instructional design and technology. What made you pick on that?
I'd like to say something really quickly before that, because I was going to ask about this too. My job with Amazon for 4 years was in instructional design. So I saw that on your profile and was like, wait, somebody got a degree in this? What?
So I went through my first 4 years undergrad, got my major sports management. Minor was in exercise science, yes, two pretty baseball player type things to do, but I knew I was either going to try and be a player or still stay into the game somehow, whether it be coaching, front office, something like that. So figured that would help me down the line. And then my fifth year, my first master's degree was in entrepreneurship. So I did a whole year of entrepreneurship. That was incredible. That was in the event of me deciding to maybe open up my own training facility one day. I kind of have the frameworks for that and the contacts that I would need. So that was really great. And then 6 year rolls around and I'm like, gosh, I got to come up with something again. So I ended up getting into the instructional design and technology masters, which I'm a couple classes short of finishing that one. But it's not off the table that I might finish that one day. But yeah, that was really great for just learning I always looked at it from a coaching perspective. Like I'm learning things on how to teach people everyone learns in completely different ways. So learning all these different like theories and stuff like that. Okay, how can I implement this to a guy that would need something in baseball? And then the technology side, obviously the game is becoming more and more technology forward every single year, it seems like. So being I'm not the most tech savvy person in the world, but as much as I can learn is I see that helping me down the line as well.
I'm sorry, Ed. I stole one of your. I feel like that's usually your realm. Like you hang out with the what you majored in and everything. So I apologize for taking that one from you.
Oh no, it was a good dude. You don't apologize for asking good questions. That's ridiculous. What are you doing, kid? What are you doing? Yeah, So when was your brother drafted, and did their connection to him have anything to do with you? Like, did they know, like, oh, we know his brother, he's a good guy, like that kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he was drafted, I think that was in 21, 13th round. Um, Again, it circles back to Tom Kochman. He was kind of the guy in this area. He had come to know me, come to know my brother, knew us on the baseball side and at a personal level. Seemed to become a fan of us. Would always sit down and chat with the both of us. And obviously, that 21 year, my brother was coming out of high school, so a little more leverage, a little more. I don't really know how to say it. More to work with. So they ended up pulling the trigger with him. And of course, like a little bit of me is tiny part of me on the inside sad it wasn't me and it was him, but still, like, it's my brother. Couldn't have been more happy for him. But yeah, I would say it all circles back to Tom Kochman and Dante Riccardi, another scout in the area. He was really great to us. Both of them always looking out for us, and couldn't be more grateful to both of them.
Now, were you the oldest brother?
I am.
Yeah. There's a theory that the younger brother is more likely to have the higher ceiling, the higher skill set, get drafted, all of that stuff, because they're competing with the older brother. So because they're starting younger with more elite competition, they end up hitting their talent a little bit more, getting it more developed. So you like that, him getting drafted is just as much to do with him getting to play with you and your friends and all that stuff. But I missed something earlier because I was a little late coming in, and it was that your assistant coach was Wade Boggs. Like, what? Because it sounded like there was something going on before I came in. What was it like having him as a coach?
It was surreal. I mean, he is so knowledgeable about the game, so infatuated by it, just loves talking the game. Couldn't be a greater person, such an outgoing personality, great man, and helped not only me, but my brother so incredibly much through high school. Such a great figure. The one story that just kind of always really leans forward in the front of my head, I got called up to varsity my freshman year, and they said, "You're going to be our starting shortstop." And I'm like, okay, I always grew up playing like second base. So it was pretty nerve wracking. And a couple practices in, we're doing infield, outfield, which Wade Bogg loves to hit. I mean, the guy loves hitting fungos just about more than anything I can think of. And we're doing infield, outfield, and I'm crumbling. I'm struggling. I'm booting balls, throwing them away. He can see me just getting completely flustered. And he literally like stops, comes over to me, puts a hand on my shoulder and says, "Take a breath. You're fine. You're meant to be here. You're going to be our guy. This is fine. Everyone's going to make mistakes. Just be you." And I'm like, okay. Goes back, and the rest is history. I had a pretty solid high school career thanks to his help and all my other high school coaches. But such a great influence, being our first base coach, hitting coach, infield, outfield guy. It was incredible having him.
That's got to be, I mean, having a first ballot Hall of Famer just in your corner, that's got to be amazing. But I know in Florida, because I lived in Arizona for a bit, and there are a lot of players that end up moving out there after they retire because of 4 seasons. They don't have the 4 seasons that you can play year round. Did you grow up around a lot of former players besides your dad?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've had former players, a lot of them being like players that my dad played with. Another big name, Tino Martinez. My dad was on the same University of Tampa team with him. My dad hit 3-hole, Tino hit 4-hole. So, and I see Tino all the time at alumni events and everything too. He's an amazing man, very super influential at University of Tampa baseball. And yeah, all sorts of guys have been around and have been influences on me as well.
Yeah, Tino Martinez. I grew up in St. Louis, so that's a flash. I remember hearing his name all the time when I was younger, so that's a flashback right there. I haven't heard that name in a while. I want to shoot to your time in the complex. So after you get signed and you report to Fort Myers, what was it like getting into? I think you only got into a handful of games, but what was it like, I guess, integrating with some of the draft class that was down there and getting into some live action games?
It was just like everything I had dreamed of, man. Like being in a dugout wearing a Boston Red Sox uniform, like playing with against another professional team. It's like this is the stuff I used to dream about as a kid, and I'm sitting in it right now. So it was incredible. I got to know a lot of the guys down there, particularly the guys from the draft class, all great guys. Couldn't be happier to be a part of their team and be hanging out with them a lot. Got close to Kyle pretty good. Me and Kyle were roommates, and obviously both being catchers, did a lot of our work together. Kyle's not only an amazing baseball player, but a great guy as well. It's been awesome. I couldn't be any happier with all of the staff down there. Everyone that I've met has been amazing, super helpful, super kind. It's been a blessing, truly a blessing, and I'm really happy.
So are you primarily a catcher now? Because I saw that I know that you can catch, but I saw that there's some positional versatility there for you. So is it kind of I can catch and I can do all these other things? Is it catcher first? Like what's the plan?
So high school was a shortstop. In college, started out as a second baseman. A couple of years down the road, played some third. Always mixed in a shortstop a little bit. My 5th year was a big time catcher, and my last year played half the year at second base, half the year at second base, half the year at first base. So throughout my span of UT, played all 4 infield positions and was a catcher. So I've been fortunate enough to play a lot of positions and gotten to know them. So hopefully with my time with the Red Sox, I get to showcase that I can play in a lot of different places.
Were you learning how to play catcher that 5th year? Because I feel like that's just such a different skill set from the rest of it. Like I mean, were you how hard is that transition? Are you like closing your eyes initially when the batter's swinging?
Yeah, no, it's a very big adjustment. So my dad actually was a converted catcher as well. He played outfield all through college, and then he was messing around at a UT practice one day, throwing balls down from behind the plate to second base, and there happened to be a scout in the stands, and he said that's going to be a catcher. So he ended up getting drafted as a catcher because he was messing around before practice one day. And I always knew, like with my physique, body type, and how I go about the game, I've always had people tell me like, "Oh, you're going to be a catcher. You make a great catcher." And after my 3rd or 4th year at UT, I knew like I had obviously a great relationship with the coaching staff. And I told them it was something I wanted to try. So, and they couldn't have been happier about it. They said, absolutely. So my 4th year, catching a ton of bullpens, catching in every single inter squad game, just learning the ins and out of the position. I think I got into one game my 4th year. And after all that training and stuff, my 5th year came around, and I would say I caught at least 50% of the games that year. So it was really cool. I mean, it's a love-hate relationship, no doubt. It's awesome being able to see the whole field, being a part of every single play, kind of being a leader and a director back there. But it takes a toll. I mean, you see catchers get hurt all the time. You get your fair share of foul tips and everything. But that's part of it. So I'm learning the ins and out of it. I have Tyson Blazer, our catching coordinator, has been nothing short of amazing. All the catching coaches I've had coming up, they've been super helpful and very supportive of the transition, and I couldn't be more blessed about that.
I've heard that the wear and tear from it, a lot of it is on your knees from catching. But what's something that would surprise people that beats you up from that?
I would say something that gets kind of slept on is the amount of throwing that a catcher does. I mean, not only are you like the pitcher's throwing it to you, but you still got to throw it back to the pitcher, and then you're throwing around to different bases all the time. I mean, I feel like catchers do take a wear and tear on their arm for sure. And outside of that, I mean, you definitely get your hands get beat up from pitches, catching the pitches, foul tips, catch you. You see a lot of times. I've seen plenty of catchers leave a game looking like a Dalmatian because they got all sorts of different bruises in different spots, polka dot in their bodies. So
It's
just
not
about
funny, but
anything
that's a great that's a great metaphor.
I mean, yeah, I've seen he's like, yeah, this was in the second inning right here on my leg, and then points to his forearm. Yeah, this was in the fifth inning, and I'm just like, whoa, like that's
Oh
it's
god,
a lot of bumps,
it's like that
bumps
scene
and
in
bruises.
Jaws.
Exactly.
I don't know where that comparison came from, but
with like all of the scars from like the shark. Never mind, it's okay.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I was gonna say I remember hearing Steven Scott, our friend Steven Scott, who's up in AAA now, but he was kind of talking about transitioning to catcher because he kind of learned catcher on the fly. I mean, we had Steven on a few episodes back, and he kind of talked about it as well. And he was telling me that the first injury he had was one of his fingers like going the wrong way because a tip ball caught his finger. So you guys just get beat up back there, man. It's incredible, like that you guys are able to do that for a whole season. I read something earlier that you were number 3 all time for hits in Division II history while you were at Tampa. Now, I've always been curious about this. So any level, like whether it's majors, whether it's minor league, whether it's college, anything, when you start getting your name in the history books, like of all time, like we're talking all time Division II history, you're number 3 on the hits list. When did that kind of start like hitting you? I guess so you're just like, my name is up there and it's going to be up there for probably a long time. So I guess when did that start sinking in that you're like, I'm up in the history books
now? Yeah, I would say that was probably, I would say after my 4th year ended and I was going into my 5th year, I'm like, like, because I knew after my 3rd and 4th year that I technically had 2 more years left because 2020 didn't count because COVID, and then 21 we had such a shortened schedule that everyone got that year back as well. I'm like, if I hang around for 2 more years, like I've got a pretty good shot at this. And I was actually fortunate enough to break the hits record at University of Tampa and for the Sunshine State Conference. So I at least got to walk away with those 2. I know being 3rd all time is great, but at least I do get to say I got first place in something. And I have a couple other of the UT records because I was able to hang out at UT for 6 years. So that was really helpful. But it was super special. I mean, I couldn't be happier with the way my whole college career went. Had amazing people, had a lot of success, and it was something I'm really proud of.
Ed, I have some rapid fired ones, but I want to, if you have anything before I dive into those.
I do have one question for you. Grew up in Tampa, but your dad, former Yankee, grew up around Tino Martinez. Who was your favorite team growing up, and who was your favorite player? And it's okay if you say Yankees. I totally get it.
I mean, yeah, when I was younger, I would say, yeah, I was a pretty big Yankees fan. Jeter, obviously. It's a very, very easy answer to say. If we want to throw it way back in time, I would say one of my favorite, like a longish time ago, Craig Biggio, great player. And actually, one of my favorite current player, I would say right now, is Kike Hernandez, which I'm a huge Kike fan. I think that guy is incredible how he goes about the game in such a fun and just funny way. Like he's just the epitome of it's a game and we're going to have fun while we do it. So it's incredible. It was pretty heartbreaking that the day that I signed my contract was the same day that he ended up getting traded. But still, yeah, he's someone that I like to play the game kind of how he does. It's a game. A lot of guys forget about that. And I try to remember it every time I'm out there. Like, I'm going to have fun while I do this. It's a privilege to be out here, and I'm going to make the most of it and enjoy myself.
That is kind of a weird coincidence that the trade and the signing was like, that's incredible. Actually,
I had so many friends, like when they heard the news that I was going, they're like, oh, you might have a chance to meet Kike. You might have a chance to meet Kike. And I signed my contract. And that same day I see the notification that he got traded, and all those same friends started texting me about it. I'm like, oh, this is such a bittersweet moment for me right here, signing a professional contract. But there goes the guy I was pretty excited to meet.
That's incredible. I have some one-offs here. Not some of them baseball, some of them not. Whatever. I want to know what is a guilty pleasure of Drew Ehrhard.
You ask any of my friends, guilty pleasure. I'm a huge soda guy. Big soda guy. I know. Yeah, I try to hide it from our nutritionist down to the complex whenever I'm having a soda, but I'm a big soda guy. I enjoy that, and I would say that's a pretty guilty pleasure.
Favorite kind?
I'm pretty Pepsi or Coke. I'm one of those crazy people. I don't even have a preference. Everyone's like, "Oh, no, Coke's better, no, Pepsi's better." I think they do taste different. I'll drink both equally, but I'm a pretty standard Coke Pepsi guy.
Do you notice a difference between the Mexican Coke and the U.S. Coke, if you've ever had that kind?
Absolutely. The glass bottle
Yep.
is a tough one to beat.
Yep. My sister lives in Mexico City, and I don't drink a lot of soda here, but every time I go there, it's just nothing but those glass bottles. It's the best.
Make sure to get the glass bottles. Absolutely.
Wow. Guilty pleasure soda I think that might be the second one. There's once you get to the complex, there's a pitcher in Double-A named Hunter Dobbins, and he lives and breathes by Dr. Pepper. And the nutritionist got onto him in Portland this past year because of how much Dr. Pepper he would consume on the days he had to pitch. So you guys might have that in common a little bit on the soda thing. All right.
Love that.
My second one, I'm just going to get it out of the way. I am curious because I think I know where this answer is going to go. It might be an answer we just got on our last episode from Chris
Or
Cotillo.
it might be the answer that you like. It might be the one that you finally get what you want.
All right, Drew.
This is the most important question
a lot
that
of
you're
pressure
going to be
right
asked
here.
this week.
All right, you're going to go hop in your car. It's lunchtime, right? So you go get in the car. You want some fast food, and in particular, you want a fast food fried chicken place. Has to be a drive-through. Where are you going? All the options are available.
All the options are available. I mean, there's no way I cannot say Chick-fil-A. I mean, I'm a Chick-fil-A guy for sure.
Okay.
Big PDQ fan. I do enjoy some Zaxby's. Gotta be loyal to my Chick-fil-A.
Fair. PDQ has come up the past, I think it's come up a ton because they got a couple locations in Fort Myers. Zaxby's
PDQ
was
has
the correct answer.
Zaxby's was the correct answer. Oof. I do like the Nibblers. I'm a big Nibblers guy. PDQ, I would say, has the best honey mustard in the land, hands down. I'll die on that hill. Best honey mustard in the land. But fried chicken place, I'm going Chick-fil-A. Got to do it.
I'm with you on that. I'm always happy because I think I'm batting close to 500 on that, and I think Parker, you're what, 3 for 51 now?
Yeah, your guest 51 on the show. This every show we do is an interview, and I've asked that question to every single person that's been on. I've had Zaxby's twice. PDQ is actually beating Zaxby's now. That is odd. That's crazy.
I think what you said has a lot to do with it. There's a PDQ just right across the street from the hotel in Fort Myers where a lot of the guys stay. So I think that's helping their stock a lot.
I mean, it's on my list. I'm going to be down at the complex late February, and that's going to probably be one of my first stops, to be honest. Even though there is a Zaxby's less than a mile from the complex as well, I got to try PDQ. John Schreiber gave me the exact order to get and everything. So,
wow,
right.
Never even tried it before.
Yeah, PDQ's only in Florida, and it's Florida, Carolina. It's not really up here, up in New England or in Missouri, where I kind of came from. So,
if you're a honey mustard fan, that honey mustard is the king.
I'm a big honey mustard guy. All right, so this one's kind of baseball related, but you got to spend some time in Greenville to finish the year with the drive. Just give me your top one or two things that you noticed about how big of a difference affiliate ball was compared to what you were used to in college.
Well, especially for me, I've never played in a game or been a part of a game that has that many fans. I mean, I was the D2 guy. We get a pretty good crowd at UT, but it's nothing like that filling an affiliate league stadium. But definitely the crowd really gets into it. All the fancy music, and I'd say the biggest difference I noticed is all the crazy things they do, like between innings, like having the mascots come out and do like their dance offs and their routines. I saw that for the first time. It was completely like thrown away. Like the pitcher had finished warming up, and we were the game was waiting to start for them to finish whatever they were doing down the foul line. So that was definitely a big shock for me, I would say.
I have to ask it. This is my last one off before we'll shoot to Ed, but we obviously touched on it earlier. You were coached by Wade Boggs. I want to know though, so obviously the It's Always Sunny episode of Wade Boggs is one of my all-time favorites.
It's a good one.
And he was at Winter Weekend last year, and one of our friends, Sammy, was a little hungover on Saturday morning after getting after it on the Friday night. And the first person he saw was Wade Boggs. And Wade Boggs literally gave him the best hangover remedy I've ever heard in my entire life. Did you guys ever ask him like any sort of questions like that? Like how, I guess, like any hangover stuff or anything? Like what was, I guess, the craziest thing that you guys got to ask him that he actually entertained?
Oh, man. I would say, honestly, so I don't know how many people know about this. This guy is an avid outdoorsman. And so I think one of the questions we asked him, like, what's the craziest like animal you've hunted? And he didn't give just one answer. He gave a list. He has all sorts of different kind of sheeps and goats. He has an elephant. He has a lion. He has a couple bears. And not only has he had all of these very impressive feats as an outdoorsman, he has almost, if not all of them, taxidermied and in his home.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing is that Wade Boggs is the modern day Teddy Roosevelt.
I would agree with that statement. Absolutely.
I never knew that.
It was very impressive, I would, to say the least.
So does
and
he
also
have the elephant?
Marlin. There's like, I'm not going to get this wrong. I think there's like 7 different types of marlin, and he's like trying to catch all of them. If he doesn't have all of them, he has at least like 6 of them, and he has them all like up on his wall. It's pretty crazy.
That's incredible. Ed, we'll pass it to you. Let's empty the bench. I wasn't ready for that one. That's good. That's,
yeah, I'm not even like into hunting, but I'm impressed by that. That's wild. But I do have, you've answered everything that I planned, but there is one thing that you mentioned kind of in passing, that you were rooming with Kyle Teal, who is a biggest draft pick the Sox had last year, and already their number 3 prospect. What did you pick up from him? Because you're both college guys. You probably a little more experienced than the other guys there. What was it like rooming with him?
It was an experience living with him. We get along great. We kind of function a little bit differently, and there's some things that I would never put out there publicly. But he's a special character. He's a great dude, incredibly funny, and just a work horse, man. Like, I can't express that enough. I mean, I pride myself on my work ethic, but that man is a true workhorse, lives and breathes the game. Like I said, we're roommates, and we'll be back in the hotel room after a long day at the complex, and he's picking up anything he can that looks like a bat, taking swings in the mirror, working on his craft. My favorite thing that he did, hopefully he's not mad, rolls up socks into a ball, stands on one end of the hotel room and practices his throwdowns and tries to cut the lights out in the hotel room on the other side. And I've witnessed him. He doesn't hit it every time, but when he does, it's pretty impressive.
That's like honestly, he just sounds like a big kid, and watching him play the game, it's like watching a big kid. Like some of the pictures that you see of him, which is like his face while he's trying to score from second base or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like there's a joy to it.
Absolutely, and that's something I definitely have tried to kind of take away from him. Just like I said earlier, remembering that this is all a game and to have fun with it every time we go out there. So it's been really great getting to know him.
So we have had a few of the guys from the draft class on this show this offseason. We've had, the 2 6'7" guys in Blake and Trenner. We've had Justin Reamer. We've had Zach Fogel. We've had quite a few guys. Kate Feeney. I mean, we've had a good portion of them. But one thing they did say about Kyle is that he was the ringleader for Dave & Buster's. Did you ever take part in a Dave & Buster's night? And I guess how crazy did it actually get?
I remember them all going and hearing the crazy story. I can't remember if I had to go to a dinner that night or something, but I unfortunately was not able to make it out that night to witness it. But I've heard the legendary stories of that Dave & Buster's night and can't confirm nor deny how accurate they are, but they all seem pretty impressed.
Fair. Did I also hear something about a bingo night? Did you guys all go play bingo?
I don't know anything about
that. Might have
bingo.
been a pitcher thing.
I think that was in Salem. That was somebody else. That was like in Salem. I know what you're talking about. I remember which one you're talking about. But that was
I'm thinking of Landry from the last.
That was Nathan.
Okay, fair. But I had to ask about the Dave & Buster's just because I think Blake or somebody said it was Kyle's idea, and with you being his roommate, I'm like, did you have any partake in that? But it's a bummer you missed out on that.
Yeah, had no one mentioned his DJing skills?
DJ Kyle Teal?
DJ Kylie T, man. What is he? Oh no, what's his? I call him DJ Space Cadet. He goes, DJ Bass Monkey. He's a big DJ guy, loves his house music. And when we would go to the complex every day, when we were in the morning, most of the days I drove, and in the mornings I would make sure it was early. Those mornings are pretty early. So play something not super crazy, just maybe a little bit mellow music to help us wake up a little bit. And then when we were driving home, I'd hand him the aux and he would get so excited. He'd plug in his phone and he would try to blow out the speakers in my Jeep with all of his crazy, he's a big house and like that kind of EDM music, and he bumps it and he loves it. Has his own mix board, loves to
Nobody told
tracks.
us about this.
Big DJ, what is it? DJ Bass Monkey. That's what he goes by.
DJ Ed's writing that down.
Yeah, I'm writing it down and I'm doing a Google search as soon as I'm done.
All right. So before we let you go, you've given us a ton of your time and we appreciate that. But I just wanted to ask, obviously it's January 11th. The off season's literally gone. I'm sure you're reporting. I think your official report date's probably a matter of weeks now instead of a month. But what's the rest of your off season looking like before you do have to report?
Just getting myself ready. A lot of hitting, getting in the weight room, getting my catching stuff in tune. I mean, I go out to the field just about every day, making sure I'm ready when I get there. And when my time's called, I want to make sure that I'm ready for it. And whatever happens after that happens, but it's on me to make sure I'm prepared. So I'm just going to make sure every single day I'm getting a little more prepared.
Well, Drew, we appreciate all the time. Definitely. It's good to get to know a guy that, is pretty new to the system and, got up to Greenville, and I'm sure you'll be starting out and getting up through the ranks towards the end of 2024. So we appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.